Yes, I does that. When everybody trying to be now, I was that. They could never stop me. That's why I love rap. Been living the life, crazy ice. The swag, the gear, the bread, all the whips is a year ahead. I only fear the feds.
It's the NBA on 2K Sports. Glad you're here with us tonight for this Monday night presentation. A quick check now at the starting five for both teams. First for the Pelicans, the backcourt, Holiday and Gordon. And playing at the five, a jump-shooting seven-footer with underrated athleticism out of Colorado State, Jason Smith. Then there's Tyreke Evans, and it's Davis at the four. And for the Rockets, batting the backcourt, Jeremy Lin along with James Harden. And it's center, the most dominant physical presence in the NBA, the elite defensive big man, Dwight Howard. Then there's Chandler Parsons, and it's Beverly in at the four slot.
Boy, the Hornets were a very young team last season, had several draft picks that saw meaningful time and were even in the rotation. And this team was NBA young, and that often means you're going to struggle on the road.
And for the Pelicans, Steve, there were teams with fewer road wins than them, but not many. Only 11 road wins for them as they went 11-30 on the season.
Well, and the trouble with New Orleans last year was that they really didn't have any aspect of their game that they could count on the road. And if you can't score and you can't defend, it's hard to win at home, much less win on the road.
And the basket by Gordon.
Perfect screen there. Set him up with a nice look.
Poor job by the defender to not fight over or around that screen.
Here's Howard. Eric Gordon grabs the board.
He's one guy the defense is not afraid to leave open from that range, and for obvious reasons.
And that is good. Here's Holiday.
Well, you look at the relationship between Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant, and, from a distance, it just appeared as though they weren't always on the same page, and that's understandable. I mean, two guys of that caliber, Kobe Bryant, a multi-time NBA champion, Dwight Howard coming off injury, trying to figure out how to make things work. Kobe always laser-focused and serious, Dwight more of a playful type of personality. You could understand why it might have taken them some time to get on the same page.
And Steve, going back to that difference in temperament, some teams are more fun-loving, while other teams are more intense and more confrontational. Which of the two is more conducive, do you think, to winning?
I think you can win either way, Kevin, but it depends on the personality of your team. As long as everyone respects each other, plays hard, holds one another accountable, you can do that and still have fun at the same time.
A look from Gordon. Here's Smith. Plenty of room around him, and it's good. Smith's got 5 now.
Got 3 out of 4 from the floor, so a good start for this play.
Harden's shot is good.
Oh, man, he goes old school on us with the finger roll.
And we're about a minute and a half into the first quarter.
Tell you what, you got to give the Houston Rockets a lot of credit, guys. After losing their franchise players to injury and age back in 09, they've managed to rebuild this team without tanking for lottery picks or going all the way to the bottom of the heap. Very impressive.
Here is Harden. After Drew Holiday scored, another shot. So the whistle blows on the shot and 2 free throws for the contact right there.
Well, you talk about physically dominant big men. I don't think there's anybody in the league that can even come close to Dwight Howard. He's so fast for a man his size, and the things he does defensively just really separates him from the rest of the centers in this league.
Yeah, and that's why teams, I think, are draping themselves all over him every time he gets the ball inside. He has to deal with a lot of physical contact and fouls, and certainly has learned how to power through and finish when bumped on his way to the hoop.
And for the Rockets, they've been very shrewd acquiring undervalued players, trading for draft picks. Steve, all in the hopes of swinging big trades for superstars.
Well, and then when they acquired James Harden, they finally got a cornerstone player. Now all of a sudden you throw in Dwight Howard, you've got another foundational player. So all these years of tinkering and trading and moving picks and moving players, it's finally paid off, and now he's got the team he was hoping to put together.
So neither attempt will fall that time for him.
Houston might have made the playoffs in the West last season, guys, but it wasn't because they were beating up on their peers. They were 24-28 against the rest of the West. That's why they got the 8th seed.
And the basket by Gordon.
Well, he's so good at recognizing where the openings are and getting the ball to the rim.
From about 19 feet, another miss by Houston.
Poor shooting from him this quarter. His shooting percentage nowhere near where he'd like it to be.
You remember the Rockets last year when they were playing a lot of teams in the West near the end of the regular season. That was when they slipped, Steve, out of the 6th seed range, down to number 8.
Well, of course, the West was really strong last year, Kevin, so it makes sense that you're going to struggle a little bit against all those good teams. But, Houston ended up being the only team in the West to make the playoffs with a sub-500 record against the rest of the conference.
The feed now to Davis. Off target there, that would have pushed the lead to double digits. Here's Lynn. And lots of contact there. Missing the shot. He'll shoot 2. That one is on Holiday.
And the offense just getting right to the rim, but at least they saved the layup with the foul.
That's old school basketball rules. I mean, at the end of the day, no easy layup. Earn it from the line.
Houston shooting their 3rd and 4th free throw attempts of the game. First one falls for him. New Orleans making a switch here. That's also good, so he hits both free throws. Now here's Rivers. Outside Holiday. Holiday off a pick from Aminu. Down low. Here's Steamsma. Good work defensively by Smith. Throws it from deep. Shot is off. And that does it for the first quarter. Pelicans ahead, leading by 6. And now the second quarter just getting set to start. And some stats here, guys. The scoring breakdown for the Pelicans.
Well, I like the fact they've already been getting a lot of high-quality shots in the paint.
Yeah, their passing has been terrific, too, Clark. We're seeing a lot of assists, really moving, a lot of flow offensively. I like what I see.
And here's Holiday. Let's go to our sideline reporter, Doris Burke. Doris, what do you have?
Well, gentlemen, it is now the 3rd team in as many years for Dwight Howard, but he feels as though he's found the right place with the Rockets. Howard said, quote, "We've got a lot of young players and the opportunity to grow. Financially, I'm leaving money on the table, leaving a storied franchise, but this is an opportunity for me to write my own story." And Kevin, he felt this team gave him the best opportunity to win a championship. And with a talented core, including James Harden, it's hard to argue.
I tend to agree with them. Thanks, Doris. New Orleans leading by 6.
Boy, you watch the way Parsons moves, and you see how quickly he's able to shift and change direction. And you forget that Chandler Parsons is 6'10", because he moves like a much smaller guy. He's a terrific all-around player.
Holiday gets the bucket.
You know what? That's what you like to see, a perfect pass.
Good situation.
He does. Got a bright future, and I'm most impressed with his defense. You talked about a lot of his skills, but Houston will frequently put him on the opponent's best wing offensive player. They're now +5 in the rebound category, really controlling the glass.
And rebounding is one of those non-glamorous stats. I mean, it takes work and effort and tenacity and physicality. But when you look at the scoreboard, you can see the correlation.
The Pelicans making a switch here. Aminu's checked in. Now here is Holiday. After the miss from Ashik, Davis kicks to Holiday. New Orleans moving it around. Gordon dishes to Davis. And he makes it look easy, dunking it hard with one hand. An indication there of why the scoreboard looks like it does. Very passive defense.
But the finish was anything but passive.
No, he hammered that down, Clark. Superb above the rim action.
Well, this season, a new mascot, new team colors, and a brand new state-of-the-art 50,000 square foot practice facility for the Pelicans. It's not just a new paint job, folks. This is a franchise doing some exciting stuff.
And so here is Houston following the shot by Drew Holiday. And Clark, you mentioned the new colors for the Pelicans. No longer the purple, teal, and gold of the Hornets, but blue, gold, and red from the city flag of New Orleans. Steve, looks pretty good.
It does look good. And remember the other connections. I mean, the blue is featured on the Louisiana state flag. Gold, Mardi Gras color, of course. You know, and then you think about the connection to the plumage of the brown pelican, which I've studied for years. And then, of course, red. I mean, the red represents... I have no idea what red represents, Kevin.
Well, you know, guys, the Houston fans could be forgiven for not having heard of Umir Ashik when the Rockets signed him as their starting center a season ago. He was a second-round pick out of Turkey in 2008, a backup in Chicago, but he's quickly shown himself to be a key piece of this promising young core.
No good on the second free throw. And you have to give the Rockets credit for going after Ashik, a player who never averaged more than 15 minutes a game with Chicago, a restricted free agent with the Bulls, and became a very important part for the Rockets.
Well, they clearly saw something special with Ashik. He's a great rebounder and defender, uses his body, understands angles, and plays that verticality really well as a defensive center.
And the first one at the line is good.
You know, the Rockets did a lot to make over their backcourt last season as they brought in two big names in Jeremy Lin and James Harden, and that's not always an easy adjustment. It took a little time for both of those guys to figure out how to coexist in the pick-and-roll offense.
And Clark, as you said, it took some time for this Houston backcourt to learn how to play with each other, but that is the case for any duo. Eventually, Steve, they found a happier medium, and that initiated some great offense between them.
Well, they were much more effective down the stretch last season, Kevin. And I thought it really showed in the way Lin and Harden kind of played off of each other. So, you know, a lot of teams, they seem to want to have that second option for bringing the ball up or for attacking. And it is very effective to have a couple of guys who can each attack and create.
Here's Harden. And just miss after miss right now.
Well, an 8-rebound advantage like the one they have now is always going to swing the score hard in that team's direction.
And that's certainly been the case today. Their rebounding has made a huge difference.
Steamsma checked in for Anthony Davis. Rockets trail by 14. Lin the pass to Harden. Another miss by Houston.
He slipped into quite a funk here, Clark.
I think that's a good word to describe it. I mean, the basket is looking awfully small to him at the moment.
The Pelicans have made 3 free throws so far. Haven't missed any. Free throw, good, Holiday. And the Rockets making a change here. That misses, so he splits the free throws.
Another trip to the strike form, and I'll tell you what, a little bit of a different feel here in the second quarter. A little more banging going on.
This team is never afraid to get physical. I think they enjoy this style of play.
Pope loose. Back to Evans. Uncovered. Shot is off. And that does it for the first half of play. Pelicans lead by 13. Well, folks, stay tuned for the halftime show with Damon Bruce for all the highlights from our first half. And now, well, it's been a one-sided affair so far through the first 2 quarters, but there's plenty of time to mount a comeback. we've seen Eric Gordon really having a great game.
I know we've said this many times before, but I'll say it again. He had a great first half, just an explosive offensive display there.
At the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about what a great second half he had. He can usually keep it going for all 4 quarters.
Well, what you love about Drew Holiday is his strong body, his size at the point guard position. He's about 6'4", still very young, but an all-star last year. I think he's only going to get better.
And let's now go to the sideline. We'll catch up here with Doris Burke. Doris?
Gentlemen, for the Houston Rockets, a remarkable rebuild process since 2009. They remained around a 500 team, trading for draft picks and young prospects, preserving cap space, and acquiring the elite talents of James Harden and Dwight Howard. They've become, once again, a contender in the West. Kevin, this is a young team poised to make some real noise.
The story of the offseason, no question. Thank you, Doris. A nice shot by Lynn.
And, you know, Drew Holiday, guys, in Philly is called by some people the Drew. But he still has work to do. I like his talent and his demeanor. He's developing as both a scorer and a playmaker, which is tough for a young player to balance those 2 skills. But I think he's got a chance to be special.
And the Rockets making a change here. Ashik's checked in. That first time out of the game called for New Orleans. .156 left to play here in the third. That's a 2 from Gordon. Second chance shot. And there's the nice layup by Evans. Evans has got 6.
And they've made 3 of their first 4 shots here to start this half.
As you said, Clark, with New Orleans, they got a chance to look at a lot of different players and figure some things out. Steve, with some of the early injuries, they found that Vasquez could be a tremendous point guard for them.
And then what they do, they went ahead and traded him to Sacramento, Kevin. But look, I like the direction that they decided to go with. I mean, they used the Vasquez as an asset. They added Tyreek Evans, Drew Holiday. They have some good young talent on that roster now.
Ryan Anderson, he's checked in for the Pelicans. Aminu comes in for Tyreek Evans. Third quarter of basketball, about a minute and a half in. Passes it to Aminu. And there's the pass to Rivers. He dishes it to Anderson. Fires from deep. The shot misses. And it's Houston the other way. He feeds it to Beverly. Tries from 7. And it's blocked by Rivers. Anderson outside. Hits the three-point bomb. Anderson's got himself on the board with 3 there.
Kevin, he does a great job of moving without the ball, and he gets a lot of good looks because of that movement. And as long as his teammates are setting screens and looking for him, he can be lethal from the outside.
And that is the key, Steve, but his release in those catch-and-shoot moments is also terrific.
Anthony Davis, he's checked in for the Pelicans. Holiday comes in for Eric Gordon. 54 seconds left in the third quarter of the game. Pelicans leading by 20. Holiday with it. Now guarded by Garcia. Rivers. And that basket is going to count. Goaltending, the official call.
He almost got to that shot in time, but not quite. You can't touch the ball once it's on the way down.
And you can hear the reaction of the fans to that call.
Well, it's obvious they did not like it, Steve.
Jeremy Lin, he's checked in for Omer Ashik. Stolen by Anderson. And a fast break now for the Pelicans. Aminu with the bucket. The Rockets have gone 1 of 3 since starting the second half. Can they get it? Harden can't hit.
Physically, there's no doubt they've been the stronger team. That plus 10 rebound advantage tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, not to mention what it says on the scoreboard. I mean, they're really pushing them around physically at this point. He got the shot he wanted off that pick, just couldn't get it to fall.
But, Steve, they'll take that play all day long, 10 times out of 10. That was good action.
For 3, a nice shot by Lin. Lin's got 5 points in the quarter. Now Holiday, 3-pointer. No good. And at the end of the third quarter, a huge lead in this one.
Guys, their play close to the hoop has been great all game.
And one other thing I would add is the mid-range game has been really impressive. I mean, they're showing great touch on some of those 15, 17-footers.
Now here's Lynn. He kicks it to Harden. Fires for three. Yes! And a nice assist from Lynn. Harden's got the first points up on the board here in the fourth for Houston. Holiday with it, and it's Lynn picking him up. Holiday gets the bucket.
And that bucket adds to what's been a big differential in points in the paint between these two teams.
Defensively, the intensity just hasn't been there. They've got to pick up the pace. Well, it seems like he's gotten a little loose with it since halftime. His fingers may be a little slick or slippery. He went from no turnovers in the first half to quite a few here in the second.
Ryan Anderson, he's checked in for Anthony Davis. Outside Holiday. Gordon goes in, and there's a whistle. That's going to go on James Harden. That's foul number 2 for him. And Anderson kicks to Holiday. Evans outside. New Orleans moving it around. And it's Gordon missing. Rockets trail by 20. Howard with a screen on Gordon. Right side, Lynn. Dishes to Usher. Parsons outside. And as it goes out of bounds, Houston able to keep the ball.
Yeah, so close to picking that pass off, guys.
At least he got a hand on it. He did what he needed to do to make sure it didn't hit the target.
And the Rockets making a change here. Beverly's checked in. Now, here is Harden. A nice jump shot from the top of the key. Harden's got 5 points now in the quarter.
Boy, you can't run an inbounds play any better than that right there.
Holiday dishes to Evans. Fires from 18. That one rolling around and rims out. And for Houston, they're shooting around 36%. They're just not able to finish consistently. And Parsons kicks to Beverly. Pass to Harden. The dish to Beverly. Feeds to Parsons. He passes to Beverly. Lynn guarded by Holiday. Stolen by Holiday. .122 left in the game. Evans kicks to Holiday. Yes, and a nice assist from Evans. 9 points for Drew Holiday.
Seems like they're on their heels every time defensively because the ball continues to go into the post.
Well, if they don't pick up the aggression, things are only going to get worse.
Yeah, he's just embarrassing the defense right now because didn't really need to double clutch there.
59 seconds left in the fourth quarter of this one. And the basket by Gordon.
He shot the ball exceptionally well as they've built this lead for themselves here.
Harden kicks to Parsons. Harden, the feed to Beverly. Back to Harden. The three. Out of bounds, New Orleans will take possession. A big group substitution here for New Orleans. Steamsma checked in for Jason Smith. Aminu comes in for Tyreek Evans. Austin Rivers, he's checked in for Eric Gordon. And Brian Roberts sub in for Drew Holiday. Out of bounds, Houston takes possession.
That is not a difficult pass. You'd think they could keep it in bounds.
Houston's gone 1 of 2 from three-point range here in the fourth. Here's Beverly. Makes it off the glass. We're in the fourth quarter here, just under 2.5 minutes gone. Here's Roberts, defended by Beverly. Roberts passes to Anderson. It's off his foot. And they're saying he kicked the ball. And the Pelicans making a change here. Withy's checked in. Jeff Withy. Aminu with it. Now Smith defending. No good from Withy. For Houston, they've gone an outstanding 4 of 5 from the field in the fourth quarter so far. Out to Smith. Off target with the jump hook. Here's Roberts, defended by Beverly. So we see the Pelicans taking the W here. You know, Clark, every team has a bad night, and these guys might want to watch the tape of this game the next one.
We make it cool to be something.